Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Blue and this is Blue Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking through the books that I read in October. I read 5 books and I had 1 DNF. I just note that I know the audio is not great in this one. I worked out the issue and it will be fixed in the next video, but sorry about that.
So the first book I read this month was Supernova by Marissa Meyer, which is the 3rd book in the Renegade series. This series follows our main character Nova, and it is set in a world where people have superpowers. These superpowers come about from often near-death experiences, and the story kind of has the themes of looking at if you have power, should you be able to set the rules, and how much power should you have? Meet different characters who have different opinions on this, and it's a very interesting moral question as we dive into it. I really enjoyed this series. My favourite was probably the second one, but I enjoyed all 3, and I found this one to be a mostly satisfying conclusion. It did end leaving you a little wanting, in the way that there was something that you found out that you knew as a reader, but the character hadn't found out yet. We never actually saw them realising that, and we never actually know, do they actually realise that? So that left a little to be wanted. It was an interesting way to end the series, I thought. Overall, I really enjoyed this trilogy. I enjoyed the characters in this series. We had Nova as a main character, and she was great to read from. I didn't find that she did any of those really annoying, unexplainable, or stupid things that you often do see in YA. We had quite a few side characters that were well fleshed. I found the plot to be gripping. I flew through all 3 books in this series. It was quite a complicated plot with lots of moving pieces. It was tied up relatively well, but it was a little messy, and it does have a reasonably good conclusion. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. I picked this book up because I was interested in watching the series, which was on Netflix, and by the time I got around to watching it, it was taken off, which seems to happen to me way more than makes sense. But anyway, so I decided to read the book. I don't usually read a lot of sci-fi, so I found this a little bit difficult to get into, but I think that was more a me problem than a book problem. The story follows 2 main characters who we jump between their different perspectives. One of them is Miller, who is a detective, and he lives in the belt, as in the asteroid belt, and his mission for the book is to track down a missing girl. So that part of the story is really a detective mystery. Our other main character is Jim Holden, and he's an XO on an ice mining ship, and what happens with Holden ends up being connected to Miller's case, and it all interweaves, and that's where the story begins. I know there are many other books in the series, and I believe they are still being written. The world building was expansive. I expected to get even more expansive in the next novels. The plot was interesting and intriguing, and it kind of left us in a point where I have no idea what's going to happen in the next book. The writing style is really easy to read. It's not hard sci-fi. It's easy to understand, and the author writes in a way such that you can envision the world easily. Sometimes there is a little bit of gore in there, and sometimes the fact that you can envision it so well I didn't love, but that's probably more of a compliment than a detraction. The characters, we explored their different motivations, and they had very different thoughts about the same things, and you could understand where both of them were coming from, which was great. I just didn't like either of the main characters. I did enjoy some of the side characters, but I have been told that I think it's in the next book or maybe the one after that there will be a character that will be my favourite. So yes, I am going to continue to read on. I also got a little bit confused at the beginning, jumping between the dual perspectives. I got really confused as to whose perspective I was reading from, but once I got that all sorted and took the time to note down their names and what they were doing, the story started to make a lot more sense. Overall, I did enjoy this book. I did fly through it. It's gripping. I finished in less than a week, and I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I know that seems low, but it's mainly because I didn't love any of the characters, but I'm keen to read the next in the series. Another book that I read in October was The Lost Continent by Tui.T.Sutherland. This is book 11 in the Wings of Fire series. If you don't know, it is a series about dragons. It's a middle grade fantasy series, and I adore these. They are lovely, light reads. This one expands on the series. As mentioned in the title, we go to a different continent which has different species of dragons. There's a lot more to learn. I really enjoyed it.
And I gave it 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to picking up the next one. Another book about dragons, which was also a middle grade series that I read this month, was How to Speak Dragonese by Cressida Cowell. This is the 3rd book in a series. This book, similar to the other one, is a lovely light read. This one reads a little bit younger. The plot is less complicated, and in each book in the series there's kind of a little adventure our characters go off on. This series is what the How to Train a Dragon movies are based off. They are very different stories. The plots are entirely different, and some of the characters are very different. The overall feeling from both of them are the same. I enjoyed this story. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and I'll continue reading the rest of the series whenever I feel like something light-hearted.
Another book that I read in October was The Tools of Titans by Tim Ferris. It is the tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires, icons, and world-class performers. So this book is basically Tim Ferris has pulled out snippets from interviews with dozens and dozens of high-achieving people. If you enjoy inspirational books, this one's definitely for you. It's really an overview rather than going in depth. So what you can do is once you hear something that you're interested in, you can then go research that further. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And the final book from October is actually a book I didn't finish. It is called AKANI by Lynette, Noni. It is about a girl who ends up, I believe, at a magic school. I got a few chapters in and I just realised young adult fantasy was definitely not what I was vibing at the moment. There were many tropes in there that not necessarily that I don't like. I've seen before, I'm tired of at the moment, and I need a break from. So after about the 4th eye roll, I put it away. Not to say that it's a bad book in any means. I'm obviously not going to give it a review or a rating because I didn't give it the benefit of a doubt.
Anywho, if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. I hope you have a lovely day.